We are on lesson number 7. Before we begin, let's take a brief look at what we learned in our last lesson. In our last lesson, we focused on multiplication by 8, also multiplication by 4. Now, one question you may have is, do I need to understand and learn all of these memory devices and all these shortcuts for all these different numbers? Well, the answer to that question is no. What you want to do is you want to go ahead and learn as much as you can, but concentrate on two things only. The first thing, concentrate on learning to skip count. The second thing, concentrate on doing your worksheets and doing a fine job with your sheets. Everything else after that will take care of itself. Let's go to reviewing multiplication by 8. Let's take a look at this, 4 times 8. As I'm thinking about this problem, what we mentioned before is we can skip count by 8s. We have 8, 16, 24, 32. Let's next take a look at 8 times 9. Well, I could go ahead and skip count by 8s, but I like 9s a whole lot better. 9s are easier. And so I'm going to remember my shortcut with 9s. I'm going to go to the other number, 8, and then what do we do with it? Well, we subtract 1, and 8 minus 1 is 7. So we're going to have 70. And now these two digits here need to add up to 9. It's a special rule for 9s. 7 plus what number is going to give us our 9 back? It's going to be 7 plus 2 is 9. So 8 times 9, 72. Okay. Let's go ahead and quickly review 4s. Same way. Here we got 5 groups of 4, or 5 times 4. I'm going to go ahead and count by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. And so the answer here, 20. Next one. Oh, there's my 9 again. But this time I'm going to count by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. Let's check it with the 9 trick. If we check it with the 9 trick, we're going to go to 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. There's the 3. And 3 plus our 6 gives us our 9 back. Okay. Today we're going to focus in on multiplying by 6 and multiplying by 7. Let's start off with multiplying by 6 first. Please pause your video, and then I want you to go ahead and try to fill these in using what you know about skip counting by 6. Do your best. Okay, let's take a look, see how everything went. You started with 6. We know we're going to add 6, and from addition we know 6 plus our 6 gives us 12. Now we're going to go ahead and continue. 12 plus 6, 18. Now, of course, if you run into trouble on that, you can always take 12 plus 6, write it out here, and add these up like you learned to do earlier, 18. Now we're going to take 18 plus 6, and you could go plus 6 like this and continue. We're going to get 24. Keep going, 30. 30 plus 6, you should do in your head. 30 plus 6 is 36. All the way up to 60. Now let's write down the math facts from this skip counting list. All right. The next thing here, patterns. Let's look for patterns. I want you to pause the video and see if you can find any patterns in these numbers. A few clues here. I want you to think about the ones digits for instance, the 4. The tens digits, for instance, the 2. Also think about the sums of the digits. Sum means that you're going to add. For instance, 3 plus 6 is 9. Those ideas may give you something to work with. So again, please pause it. All right, let's see what we came up with, patterns. As we take a look at our ones digit, here we have a 6 and a 2. Here we have an 8 and a 4 and a 0. Now, from your worksheets, you've learned something special about the numbers 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Those numbers are all called what kind of numbers? Well, they are all called even numbers. Okay, and that's something that you have learned before. They are also obviously multiples of 2. Now let's take a look as we continue right here. We got 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. If we say these in the order they came on this list here, we have 6, 2, 8, 4, 0. Now watch this. 6, 2, 8, 4, 0. Does that pattern go on forever, do you think? All right, let's go ahead now, take a look at another pattern that may be helpful. Here we have a digit 6. Let's look at our next number here, 12. 12 has 2 digits, a 1 and a 2. Let's add these up. Usually we don't do this like we've said before, but 1 plus 2 is 3. Let's add these up. 1 plus 8 is 9. 2 plus 4 is 6. 3 plus 0, 9. Add these. And as we take a look right here, we have a 6, 3, 9, 6, 3, 9, 6, 12, ooh, 9, and then a 6. It seems to me like perhaps the 12 doesn't belong. However, later, you're going to find that these numbers right here are very meaningful when you study something called divisibility rules. So let's pull everything together. The pattern that we really see here is the last digit. 62840, 62840. Let's go ahead now, do just a little bit of practice with sixes. I want you to try these and see how these turn out. Pause the video, please. Okay, let's go ahead and see how these turned out. Here we have 2 times 6. I'm going to count by sixes, but I only go to the second place on the skip counting list, 612. Here we have 3 times 6. I'm going to go to the third place on the skip counting list, and if you remember, it was 6, 12, 18. Here we have 6 times 6. So we got to go further on the skip counting list. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. Here we have 8 times 6. And so here we need to go even further on the skip counting list. 8 times 6, if we count that out, we're going to get 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. Now, one thing that needs to be mentioned here, every once in a while, students may find that a certain math fact is troublesome. They have a hard time remembering that. And so what you may want to do as their parent or as their teacher is you may want to designate a certain math fact as a fact of the day. And on a certain day, you may want to, every once in a while, ask the student to do the problem. For instance, this math fact right here can be troublesome. I've had some of my students struggle with this a little bit. So maybe in the course of an hour, what I'll do is I will ask the student, what's 8 times 6, without them having any resources present, and they just need to remember it. 8 times 6. And then if they get it right, well, they get a smile from me. And if they don't get it right, then they get a little bit of encouragement from me to try to remember it for next time. Positive encouragement, obviously. And so this fact of the day idea is something that I think is very helpful, especially with some of these math facts that perhaps are a little bit harder to remember. Remember, your goal is to have these basically memorized. And with practice, you'll be able to do that. Almost all my students are able to do this. All right, let's go ahead and try multiplication by 7. This is our last skip counting exercise. I want you to pause the video and do your best to fill that in, and then we'll go through that. All right, let's see how everything turned out. 7. Well, the next number that we get right here is 7 plus another 7, 14. And then we can keep going. We're going to get a 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, 70. So check yours, please. See how you did. Down here we'll write in our multiplication problems that match with each skip counting number. Okay, patterns. What I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and see if you can find some patterns in our work right up here. Give it your very best try. All right, let's see how things turned out. First of all, a word of warning. 7s, my opinion, and I think in the opinion of most people, is a tough one to find a pattern in. In fact, as far as I'm concerned right here, 7s, we've left them for last, are the toughest of the ones that we do. But a little bit of advice here that may be helpful. As we take a look at 7s, everybody can get 7, and I think most people can easily get the 14. But then what can we do to get 21? Well, one thing we can do is try this. We can add 10, but that's too much. So what do we need to take away? Well, we need to subtract the number 3. And if we add 10, subtract 3, that'll help us get the next number here. Let's try that. 14 plus 10. Well, that's 24. Now, from 24, we got to subtract 3. And if you can do that in your head, that's great. If you can't, feel free to write it out. 4 minus 3, 1, 2. So this is going to be a 21. Now let's go to the next one. Add 10, subtract 3. 21 plus 10 is 31. 31 minus 3, 28. Next one, 28 plus 10. That's going to be 38, but 38 minus 3 is 35. And by going through this sort of thinking, you can fill in your numbers for skip counting by 7s. Again, be very patient with yourself on 7s, because 7s, I found over the years, have been some of the most difficult numbers to work with as far as skip counting goes. Okay, let's go ahead and try a little bit of practice with 7s. Let me go ahead and have you give these a look over, see what you can figure out. Please go ahead, pause the video, try these 4, and then we'll go through that. All right, let's take a look and see how everything went. Here we have 2 times 7. So we have two groups of 7. 7 plus 7 is 14. Next one, 4 times 7. So I need to think about my skip counting chart. 7, 14, 21, 28. So this will be a 28. Next one, 7 times 7. Now this is going to be a little bit harder. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49. Last one, 9 times 7. Well, what I'm going to do here is something I didn't do in these. I'm going to use my 9 trick because I see a 9 there. So go to the other number, take 1 away. 7 minus 1 is 6. And 6 plus what here would give us the 9 back? It'll be a 3. Okay. Any questions with this? I know it's hard to ask questions. But practice time is a great time to work with this a bit and ask your parent or your tutor questions. They should be able to help you a great deal. Let's take a moment and recap here. Multiplying by 6s. The secret, learn to skip count. Same thing with 7s. 7s are the tough one, the toughest of the bunch. And so be patient with yourself. Learn to skip count by 7s. And remember 2 things. Spend your time on skip counting and spend your time on your worksheets. Next time, lesson number 8, what we're going to do in our final lesson is we're going to review some big ideas together, and then I've got some suggestions that I've used with students of my own to help them as they learn their multiplication facts. I'll see you at lesson number 8.